Welcome to the Killshot MMA podcast. It's UFC Vegas 93. Your main event is Alex Perez and Taira in probably one of the worst fight night cards I've seen in a while. But I've said it on the up weeks. I'm glad we have fights. I'm here for it. I'm here for DraftKings. I'm going to play. I don't hate the Apex as much as everybody else does. I think it has a nice once a month rotation. Give me the Apex once a month. Maybe it's these type of cards. I'm totally cool with that personally. I'm Sniper, by the way. We got 13 fights, going to break down everything for DraftKings. Few bets mixed in. That's Monk over there, the DK statistician wizard, the master of Monkmatics. Monk, I know you. I mean, it was an easy week for you researching this card.
Yeah, this one's interesting. You know, you take your kids to I don't know, Disney World, maybe, one of the Valley Fair, one of those places, big amusement park, lots of stuff, caters to everybody. This week is like taking your kids to one of them carnivals that they just construct in like a mall parking lot, like a mall that doesn't exist anymore, which I guess is all malls. But it's like the rides are shaky. You see those TikToks of the shit breaking in front of you. That's what this card is, and I am so here for it. It's going to be should be a shit show in the best possible way.
Well, that being said, before we dive into it, guys, first hit the like button, support the podcast, share with your friends. We record Tuesday. We are the first, if not one of the first. One of the first, if not the first. We got to be early for DK content.
Super early.
So a lot of times you'll get salaries till Mondays, digest a little, write some notes, get cranking to it. If you want more picks and plays, optimizer, all the tools you need over at DFS Army, link down below. Use your code SNIPER for 10% off. Ask questions in the Discord. Make some money. Had a big winner a couple weeks ago. And that being said, I won't do too much of the preview, assuming you all hit the like button. And now we'll jump into the main event. Alex Perez taking on Tatsuro Taira. Tyra is the favorite. He's minus 200. Perez is plus 165. Your DraftKings salaries for this one. Tatsuro Taira is 8,600. Alex Perez is 7,600. Monk, you can go first this week. Take it away.
All right. Yeah, a bunch of smaller weighted individuals, I guess is a nice way of saying it this week. But I like those fights, and especially your point you made about once a month Apex cards. I don't mind that either because we get smaller octagon, baby. It goes, it goes yeah, exactly. It goes without saying that's what we're kind of looking for in some of these fights, and this card is great for it. I actually like this main event. Perez, I'm not gonna say he's the master of the canceled Tapology page. That's what everybody knows him for. Hasn't fought in forever. It's 2.5 years or whatever since he fights and blah blah blah. Well, then he fought Mateusz Nicolau. I think was that on short notice? Was he a short notice replacement on that one? I can't remember.
I believe,
but it was a couple of weeks. It wasn't.
Yeah, someone's gonna light me on fire for it. I think it wasn't short notice, but he didn't have a full camp.
Yeah, exactly.
Notice.
Yeah, and he looked. Say what you want about Nicolau. Perez looked fantastic in that fight, and I think he scored pretty well as well. I guess 91, but he was relatively cheap. And Tatsuro Taira's up and coming prospect. I think you can still call him a prospect just because of the caliber of fighters that he's fighting. And that's my main point here, man. I'm a big Tatsuro Taira guy. I love the kid. I hope he does very well. And I hope he does well in this fight. But his UFC strength of schedule is atrocious at like less than 48. 55 is the average. And 48 doesn't sound like a huge difference.
These are all Monk numbers, by the way.
Yes, exactly. 55 is the average for the UFC, like strength of schedule. I basically just make those the same way like BCS used to do for NCAA football. Same exact thing. And so the average is 55. Perez is at 60. That's fantastic. Tyra, much, much, much lower than the average. So this is a big step up, man. And if Tyra's not careful, I think Perez can kind of give him his first L professionally. Perez has a very good takedown defense as well. I think this could go 5 rounds, but I don't, or yeah, 5 rounds. I just don't know. I don't know if I'm willing. I think I'm just going to be about average here. I don't want to say I'm fading this, but I'm not super excited for this 5-round fight like it usually would be. I don't think so. I'll pick Tyra, but Perez is definitely live.
See, I do think this is a good fight to target because Tatsuro Taira is going to want to grapple. I think it's a pretty binary fight. I think Tyra's going to get the grappling points if he can get takedowns, or Perez is going to be better on the feet, throws enough volume. We saw last fight. Apparently he has power again. So he's come back a little bit. It seems like the winner is going to score, especially over 5 rounds, and we're really top loaded. And we'll get to why it's the mid-range fights. I mean, spoiler alert, I'm picking a lot of dogs in that mid-range that aren't, they're pick-em dogs, basically plus 100, plus 110. And I think these guys are both going to fall into your lineups at these salaries. I think there's good upside for both. Pick-wise, I lean towards Tyra because I do think he can get takedowns. It is a big step up, to your point, but it's the grappling edge and the quickness that put me just over the top and why I'm going to take Tatsuro Taira. Also, 8,600 minus 200 in climbing is worth a look here. Just odds value-wise, he's going to be pretty popular. We're talking cash games earlier. If you do that on DraftKings, what's interesting is, do you stack this? It's a very stackable fight. The problem is the 9K range is loaded, and that's where the safety is. Do you forego Alex Perez if you really think he's going to lose, maybe double punt and then pay up? And those are just decisions you have to make. I'll give some advice to members later in the week. I think right now, when I first wrote my notes, I was thinking I'm going to stack this. And then as I started building lineups, I'm like, man, I think I'm leaning towards the double punt. And we'll talk about those plays a little bit later. But that's where I'm leaning right now for this fight. So last week on the podcast, if you listen, I said that Dustin Jacoby against Dominic Reyes was one of the worst co-main events I've ever seen. I did not realize at the time that Ikram Aliskerov
too soon.
and Antonio Tricoli were the fucking co-main event this week. Why is this bad? Well, I'm going to go ahead. Step one. Antonio Tricoli has not fought since 2021. He's a co-main event. And you're like, Sniper, what's the big deal? It happens all the time. This guy has not fought in the UFC. Okay, is he like a Bellator guy or KS? No. The Dana White Contender Series is the best promotion this motherfucker has ever fought in. And that wasn't even his most recent fight. It was Brazilian fighting series. Like, oh, okay. So yeah. Aliskerov, Topology has it at minus 900. That's fucking not right. If I go on Fight Odds right now, you know what you can get Ikram Aliskerov on SX Bet at?
Oh,
that'd be minus 1805.
I was gonna say 15 because I thought that was a joke.
And he's minus 14 at Bet Online, minus 14 at Bet.
Oh my god!
Like, it's pretty ridiculous. The lines of like Ikram Aliskerov. Last time I looked, let's see if this number has moved, because it's going to be trending up, which is just, people are anchoring an insane parlay piece here. Aliskerov wins inside the distance.
Minus 650.
Last time I looked, it was minus 800.
Oh my god.
Aliskerov in round 1 is minus 150.
Oh, geez.
Okay, no, Aliskerov by KO is, Aliskerov wins inside distance, minus 800.
Jesus.
That's your co-main event. Your DraftKings salary, by the way, Aliskerov is 9,700. Tricoli is 6,500. How do you play this one? First of all, you cross out Antonio Tricoli, and if he wins, you just go on about your day. Frankly, like, okay, I lost. Not even going to play the 2%. Nope, not going to do it. Not in a 13 fight card. He's getting the X button. And then really this top range, the conversation is kind of bigger. And then what you have to look at is this 9K top heavy range. And it's Aliskerov, Almabayev, Manis, and Yekasaragi. And I can argue Josephine Knudsen. They're all good plays. I will tell you, and a little bit spoiler for later, the top two, they're kind of top two for a reason. All of my lineups are going to have either Ikram Aliskerov or Asu Almabayev. And I'm going to try and fit in both of them in a couple and pay like 3 underdog lineups. They're all going to have one of them. They're just, sometimes you get like and I can throw out Brad Katona, and unfortunately the way last week worked, he scored big. Can happen. But he didn't on paper. I didn't expect him to score big. These guys, we expect to score big based on the odds. I'm going to pay up. So, Ikram smash, play as much as you can, or maybe some game theory, get more Asu. It's really, you can't go wrong here. Just kind of make your decision based on how you want to attack the slate. And I kind of gave you what my insights are for it. Monk, I can't imagine you have much more for this, but I tried to bail us out in this bullshit fight. What do you got?
I appreciate that. No, I don't have much more at all. Yeah, that DWCS fight was almost 5 years ago. Actually, tomorrow it'll be 1,800 days since that happened. That famous neck crank on something named
So
Kenneth
good.
Berg. Yeah, so I think it's cool. This guy's name rhymes with broccoli. I think that's cool. I don't think I have anything else. Like, yeah. Oh, if your buddies if you play Troccoli and then he wins, they're like, oh, play try, just slap him. If anybody like says that that's a good move, just slap him. I 100% agree with you. I like your play to play either this guy or Asu Almabayev in every lineup. At 9,700, you're definitely going to need some of those lower end guys. So we will.
But they exist. They're there.
Yeah, they do. We will be touching on those coming up. But yeah, I like Alice Garoff here. So far, he's averaging, he scored 108 against Phil, 110 against Worley. And we'll see if he's going to eat his veggies here with Antonio Broccoli. That was just for you DFS Army people. No one else has lines like that.
That being said, this is a live underdog, one I'm not picking, but one of the many live ones. Lucas Almeida against Timothy Kwamba. Almeida plus 150. Kwamba is minus 180 favorite. DraftKings salary on this one, Kwamba is 8,800. Almeida is 7,400. Monk, what do you got for this one?
Well, Almeida, I mean, he's beaten Michael Trezano so far in the UFC. Is that
Not a
right?
bad win.
Not a bad win at all. Lost to Pat Sabatini hasn't aged well. The loss to Andre Fili hasn't aged well either, even though Fili looked fantastic in that fight. He's looked not so fantastic pretty much since then. He's really hit or miss for the most part. Kwamba fought a debutante back in February, lost the fight, put up 22 points. He landed a takedown, got taken down, same amount of control time, but was outstruck basically 2-1 there against Oki. So Lucas Almeida's not really, I mean, he outstruck Trezano, but other than that, he's getting doubled up by Fili. He landed only 2 strikes to Pat's 27 in 7 minutes. So that's 0.29 strikes per minute there. Yeah, I think Lucas Almeida, and unfortunately, I'm going to try not to sound like a broken record here, so we'll see how my my brain works tonight. But I think this is good for GPP just because a lot of these, I don't know who's going to win. So 7,400 automatically is an okay spot against a guy who has only 1 UFC fight and less than 10 professional fights, which is definitely a stat line I like to keep an eye on. It's very, we see these, hyped prospect guys come in with under 10 fights, and we're expecting them to do all this stuff. Tom Nolan in his first fight. Yeah. And sometimes they lose. So against guys that, aren't necessarily good, but have that UFC experience. And that's what we're facing here. So I think both sides is probably fine. I will definitely be playing some of both. But if I need, underdog pricing, I will, I don't have a problem looking to Lucas Almeida. He put up over 100 against Trezano in a 3rd round KO. So definitely like to see that. Lots of volume.
And what's interesting too is Kwamba also lost his last fight against Bolaji Oki, and he fights everybody close. I watched some of his fights. At this price, do I really think he's going to get a finish? If I go back, I mean, he's got to finish in tough enough decision in Contender Series. He finishes guys in the regional scene, but the 2 step-ups he had, they were close fights. I get it. Lucas Almeida's tough. He's no joke. I mean, I know Fili knocked him out. Sabatini finished him. Zellhuber, I think Zellhuber is better than a lot of the opponents that Kwamba's faced. And I guess Zellhuber won, but he didn't finish him. 8,800 on this card. I think you need to finish. I think it's going to be close. Lucas Almeida, I think, is live. It's one I expect to play out really close. I think the line is just a little too wide, and I'll take some shares of Almeida because there's a couple dogs I like more. I don't need to slam him in. But for me, I think it's dog or pass in this one. And I'm stealing the name of another popular show. Shout out to those guys.
Mm-hmm.
You guys should have us. I'm challenging them to a friendly little competition or any other DFS show.
There we go. I love it.
We got to get some kind of stuff going. We gotta beat somebody's ass here.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's this card. I'm trying to make something interesting. So if anybody wants to spam message any of our competitors, and the ones I'll shout out, the ones who it's a small enough space. We all know who each other are. Open challenge to, let's see, should give three. Three off the top of my head would be it's got to be Apley, Mad Lab, and Dog and Pass. Safdie.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Show versus show. We should do some next. For international fight, we should get one giant show together.
Well, yeah, because we can do a tag team match. Apley's got Gordo.
Yep, exactly.
And I do a show with Gordo, so I know all his moves. So I'm the inside man there.
Half of that. I mean, we're all our own content creators, and selling our own products. Doing something massive for International Fight Week. I should almost look into that and see if we can make something happen.
That would be it would just be fun. Something to change it up, man. I mean, I love what we do, but it does get repetitive, so anything to change it up is always good.
That would be I gotta DM some of those guys.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That'd be fun. That would be really fun. All right. That's the kind of aside this card needed. I'm gonna be honest. Moving on. Let's talk.
Here's what we're talking about now.
I like this fight.
I like this fight, but
yeah. Miles Johns against Douglas Silva de Andrade. Miles Johns is -105 to pick him basically now. Douglas Silva de Andrade is -115. Your DraftKings salary. This is the mid-range fight this week. Andrade is 8,200. Miles Johns is 8,000. Monk, take it away.
Yeah, I do like this fight. Actually, Douglas Silva de Andrade is the most tenured UFC fighter on this card with 12 UFC fights. Hasn't fought in over a year. Beat Cody Stamann, lost to Saeed. He's beat Morozov, Gaetano Perello. Lost to the still undefeated Lerone Murphy. Miles Johns, I mean, this guy is almost impossible to play in DraftKings for the most part. Now, I mean, I should really start tracking the times when I say that to see if there's like a curse or something, but he put up 74 against Gibson, 67 against Argueta, 55 against Morales. So at least he is trending up. But if the pattern's to be followed, he's only going to score in the 80s this week, and that's still not going to be good enough for 8,000. So
this is terrible at 8,000 though.
That's true, but this does have decision written all over it. I mean, his stats are pretty good. Like the best striking defense on the card in the last 5, almost 70% in his last 5 fights. Gets like 2.5 strikes landed on him per minute. His 84% takedown defense. I mean, so his stats are very good. It's just he has little to no volume in these 15-minute fights. So we really don't get much for him. If anybody, I like the Andrade side just for the volatility side of things. So yeah, that's probably where I'll be. Unfortunately, he's more expensive, but I mean, if Miles Johns scores 100, this do I have a number on that? It'll be the first time. I don't know. It'll be very close to the first time ever, if not the first time ever. So yeah, first time ever it looks like. So I'll take those chances.
So here's the thing. I wrote up, I'm taking a small stand on this one. I do like Miles Johns. I actually think he's going to score well in this one. Yes, I know it would go against the trend, but I think he can get takedown against Douglas Silva de Andrade. Andrade's a decent takedown defense at 70%. Cody Stamann took him down last time out, and we just saw what Cody Stamann's wrestling has kind of become. It's not great, not terrible. I know he's good opposition, but again, Stamann got him down. And knocked him down, by the way, and Andrade still won that fight. Saeed Nurmagomedov take him down again. I know it's Saeed, but Sergey, he's been taken down in 3 straight fights, 4 of the last 5, 5 of his last 6, 6 of his last 7, 6 of his last 7 fights. Like he can be taken out, and I guess I know it's against higher quality competition overall when I start going further back. But Miles Johns, he's a specialist. Like at least when I think of him, like I think he's going to grapple in this one. Miles Johns has got 22% takedown accuracy. That's because he just shoots and shoots and shoots. I mean, he was 1 for 12 against Vince Morales, and he does shoot a lot. I think he'll be able to get Silva de Andrade down, who's also aging. Silva Andrade is on all the vitamins in the world. So I'm not saying this is an all-in spot for me, but I don't think many people are going to be on Miles Johns. And just when I play this fight out in my head, I think he's got takedowns. I think he can get some control time. I think he can put up a sneaky, really decent score here. So I do like Miles Johns in the mid-range. Silva de Andrade just become a GPP-only option for me. All right, let's move on to the second largest favorite on the card, Asu Almabayev, taking on Jose Johnson. Almabayev is -420. Johnson is +320. fight does not go to decision on this one. Probably isn't massive. It's actually fight ends inside the distance is minus 220. So that's actually pretty big considering all Asu's going to do is wrestle him. And that's all he needs to do, because as much as I said that I think Miles Johns is going to be able to get takedowns against Silva de Andrade, I am very confident that he'll be able to get Jose Johnson down while Almeida. He got 9 against Vergara, 2 against Ode Osborne. Jose Johnson's got 36% takedown defense. Chad and Helliger took him down 4 times. Damon Blackshear twice. Something named Jack Cartwright took him down 6 times. Yeah, he's going to get takedowns. Alabay probably gets a submission, probably scores pretty big. The spoiler alert from earlier, I'm going to have him or Aliskerov in all of my lineups. So, and I will also be crossing on Jose Johnson, same camp as Broccoli Man. If he wins, well, fuck it. I guess I'm going to turn it off and go watch an episode of Suits or something.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. No, and once again, just like whoever Ikram at 97, I agree with you here completely. Like you said, 11 takedowns in his past, 2 fights, and you're like, well, maybe he's just throwing a ton, and that kind of. He's got where'd it go? 58% takedown accuracy. That's fucking unheard of after like more than 10 takedowns. That is 7.12 takedowns landed per 15 minutes in 2 fights so far, which is 23 minutes basically. That is insane.
It's a big number.
It's ridiculous. I love that number. And Jose Johnson allowed 4 against Ann Helliger, 2 against Blackshear. It's kind of what he does. He gets taken down, and if he's losing, he's not. Well, I guess I can't say that's only been 1 time, but he gave up a ton of points to one Damone Blackshear. I believe it was 114.9 points. So let me get a ton of takedowns, and if not a ton of takedowns, let me get a ton of control time. Hopefully some non-significant strikes. Puna, once again, I have heard no one else say this. I'm not out here listening to everybody. So if someone is talking about this, let me know. Non-significant strikes and the importance that they play with wrestling or grappling based fighters when it comes to DFS. Puna, he only had 100. He had 150, 60 something, 100 and something significant strikes, a ridiculous amount last week. But he had 331 total fucking strikes, which no one ever talks about, and they just rack up the points for DFS. Maybe we'll see that with Almabayev, maybe not, but still, always something to look out for is non-significant strikes. So I've already gone on long enough. I agree with you, Sniper, and love Asu Almabayev at 9,500 this week.
Those little pity pad strikes pay off big.
Oh, so much. Mackenzie Dern is like the master of that shit.
She's the master of something else too.
Yeah, that's true.
She's a Billy Gunn, if you will. I'm proud of that one. And I bet you like 40%
I get that reference. I get it.
40% of our audience got that. All right, let's move on. Let's talk Adam Fuget and Josh Quinlan. Josh Bushido Quinlan. Minus 110 apiece. Is that right?
That's that's
Quinlan's up to minus 125 in some places. Anywhere between plus 100, plus 105, and minus 103 for Fuget. That's interesting.
It is interesting.
What's interesting about it too? So Quinlan's 8,300, Fuget is 7,900. Actually, that the salaries were a little bit wider. So for this one, this is again another mid-range dog. I am going to take Fuget. Has faced some killers in his UFC tenure. Lost to Michael Morales. Holy shit! He beat Yoshiaku Kinoshita, who was a hype prospect, beat him. And then Mike Malott in Canada, by the way, that was a fucking thing. Josh Quinlan's a step down. And Quinlan, beat Jason Witt. Cool, buddy. And then you lost to Trey Waters and Danny Marlowe. I mean, I think Fuget's just more well-rounded. I think he's going to have a grappling advantage. If Fuget chooses to stand and strike, it's going to be close, and Quinlan is probably better. I just don't think he's that far ahead in the striking where it's a wash. And I think Fuget can use the grappling, can hold him up against the cage if he chooses to do that. And, the smaller cage should help that. I'm leading Fuget for all of those reasons. Not a great fight to target for me, quite honestly. On DraftKings, you have this fight overall is minus 160 to end inside the distance. It's okay. And it's, if it's Quinland in the second round, I mean, I guess at this salary, you don't need a ton, but there are some other big numbers on this card. For me, I'm leaning towards the Fuget side. How about for you, Monk?
Yeah, I'm agreeing again with you here. I'm just trying to look at something. Okay, that didn't matter. Actually, yeah, I did want to look at something here. Dun dun. Okay, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I like Fuget here. Mostly for the reasons you said, and I don't trust Josh Quinlan. Mostly, I mean, we're at again less than 10 fights. A guy with 8 pro fights, 3 of them in there are in, if I could speak, the UFC. And 2 of them are losses. I mean, he beat Jason Witt. Who cares? He lost to Trey Waters, who he's tall, and then Danny Barlow, who I actually think
is my favorite.
Yeah, so I actually think Danny Barlow's can have a decent run in the UFC. So I don't take, outside of the Barlow fight, I don't take much stock in Waters and Witt. And the strength of schedule number that I mentioned earlier reflects that as he is at a 43, which is even worse than whoever I was talking about earlier. Adam Fuget is the complete opposite. Yeah, these guys are both 1 and 2 in the UFC, and Fuget only has 13 pro fights, but still we're over 10, 3 of them in the UFC. And his opponents, like you mentioned, are so much better. Michael Morales is one of the better prospects in the division, if not, I won't say the best. And Mike Malott was up there as well. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Fuget. I think I agree. This is a big step down for him. And I just don't trust Quinlan at all. Like, he has power, and I assume if Fuget puts himself in a bad position on the ground, Quinlan has what it takes to get the job done there. But I just like Fuget too much. And when he did win, he did put up an astounding 126 points with a first round knockout that does not include a quick win bonus. So love to see that kind of early action from a fighter getting us those big scores. So give me the underdog here, Adam Fuget. And I want to see the ownerships here. If he's super low, I don't know, man. It's going to be hard for me not to, if he's like lower than, I don't know, 20 some percent, it's going to be hard for me not to look at that twice.
Let the underdog train continue. Tajir Ulanbekov taking on Joshua Van. Ulanbekov minus 225. I'm a little surprised by that personally, other than his name ends in Beckov. But still, I mean, it's not an undefeated one. He lost to Tim Elliott. He's not unbeatable. Joshua Van, comeback is plus 180. Your DraftKings salaries for this one, Tajir Ulanbekov is 8,900. And Joshua Van is 7,300. Monk, go for it.
Yeah, this one's interesting. I mean, I don't know what to think about. Well, I do kind of know what to think about Van. He's exciting. He's a super young guy, 22 years old, getting his footing in the UFC. Already 3 fights under his belt, and that's 15, 39, 40 minutes if we round up inside the UFC cage. I absolutely love to see that. 2 of his wins have scored great, 106 and 134 against Bunas. But as I've mentioned, the strength of schedule stat, I've shit on guys that are 45 and 43. You don't know what those numbers mean, but just know they're low. Joshua Van, after 3 fights in the UFC, his strength of schedule number is 29. By far the worst on the card. By far one of the worst in the entire organization. So just keep that in mind. We're fighting Zalgis, Kevin Borges, and Felipe Bunes. So yeah, this is a step up for sure for Josh Van. Ulanbekov's only lost to Tim Elliott, and that was an extremely close fight. He scored almost 60 points in that loss against Tim Elliott. Otherwise, he's 4 of 5, beaten Silva, Nascimento, Durden, and Manus. I don't know, man. And he's scoring better every time. 84, 92, 100, and 119 is what he got against Durden in the second round. You only get 70 points for that, meaning he scored almost 50 points, guys, in 9 minutes. So I love to see that as a DFS stat guy. I like this fight overall. I think there is definitely a lot of consideration needs to be put on Joshua Van at 7,300, especially when you're looking at Ikram, especially when you're looking at Asu Almabayev. You have to consider that. But for that reason, Ulanbekov might go a little bit overlooked this week, especially in the 9K sub 9K range. Could be an interesting little pivot from some of those higher guys.
I actually think he's going to get a decent amount of ownership, I think. So I'll be interested to see what those say. I'm more just And then while I said let the underdog train roll on, I am going to pick Ulan beckov. I will mix in Van. Van has a habit of getting a shit push in the first round and coming back in the second round. And what's interesting is Ulan beckov, grapples a lot, but he can tire. And I see a pretty clear path where, Van just hangs in there, grapples, gets up, maybe tires out Ulan beckov and can take over late. The path seems pretty clear to me. I like the scoring upside in this fight because if Tajir wins, he's gonna just wrestle fuck Van. He's gonna be on top of him, control. Maybe I'm wrong and Van can't get up. Or if Van can get up, I think he's got a real opportunity to take over late. And at his salary, I don't need a ton. I think this is a good DK fight. I will favor Tajir, but Van is an underdog I will be mixing in. And I think as far as cash punts go, I think there's one I like a little bit more. Well, obviously way more than Tricoli or Jose Johnson. There's one I like just a touch more, I think. Yeah, I do. And then Van's right there in terms of second place for GPP punts on this card. So I think he's definitely worth mentioning and worth pointing that out. Now we'll move on and talk about a fight that should be, I can't believe I'm going to say this because they're flyweights. This one should be violence.
These guys look like second cousins.
God, yeah, I can't unsee it. God damn it. Nate Manies is who we're talking about. He's minus 400, huge favorite against Jimmy the Brick Flick at plus 310. Your DraftKings salaries for this one. Manies is a 9,400. Flick is 6,800. This is, the third place right behind Alisov and Almeida, and there's a reason for it. Manies is a slight tier down from those guys, and I'll get to why in a second. This fight is minus 550 to end this at the distance. Look, Flick can't stay conscious. When Manies wins, he gets finishes. He finished Mendonca. He finished Gravely. He finished Luke Sanders. And when he loses to grapplers and can be submitted. And that's all Jimmy Flick is super one-dimensional. Jumping triangles. Like, he's borderline a women's MMA fighter in terms of he is sub or bust. You don't see that much in men's MMA anymore. Kind of Ryan Hall.
Well, that style right doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, I don't think Nate Manies has the best fight IQ. And if Jimmy Flick were to sub him, I'd be like, yeah, it's about right. I would not spit out my drink. I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. So I'm going to play both sides of this fight. This is the super scrubs, Tricoli, Johnson, Flick, and Weston Wilson. It's actually a toss up between Jimmy Flick and Weston Wilson. I will say, who we're going to talk about that shit show in a little bit. But this one at minus 550, and Manies is not a world beater. Flick's in play for me for GPPs. Monk.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're probably right. God, it's just so disgusting to watch. And
by the way, Manies may be the highest scorer on this card with 125 because the first punch he throws puts Flick out cold. Could totally happen too.
Yeah, there's a quick win bonus here. Yep. There's a first round submission bonus or first round bonus with a submission here. I mean, definite GPP fight. These guys are not good. I mean, those three fights you mentioned for Manus, the wins, all triple digits. 119 is what he put up against Mendonca. I mean, the amount of points these guys are allowing in their last five per loss is 102 and 110. I mean, there's just points everywhere for these guys. The only problem here is if we get a Flick win, like he subbed Malcolm Gordon in the second round. He survived the first round, if I remember, was kind of taking over a little bit in the second, if my memory serves, and then finished him in the second. Only scored 79 points. So that's not what we're looking for, but at 6,800, you'll definitely take that for sure. So I agree completely. Jimmy Flick's a decent GPP punt play, and he might not even be classified as a punt if he's in the usual suspects in his lineup. He's with Weston Wilson and whoever the hell else we talked about. So yeah, both sides of this one. I'm not rooting for either one. I said these guys look like second cousins, but like Bryce Hall's in there, or Bryce Mitchell's in there as well. Who the hell is Bryce Hall? I don't even know. Bryce Mitchell's in there as well.
It's a combination of Ryan Hall and Bryce Mitchell, and they're
two
very different.
Maybe
people,
Ryan Hall's in there. Yeah,
way different people.
They're all weirdly related somehow. So yeah, give me. I don't know who to pick. I guess I'll probably pick Manus, but like you said, if Flick throws a flying toe hold on this guy, I'd be like, yep, that's Jimmy Flick.
All right, let's move on and let's talk about Garrett Armfield and Brady Hestand. Armfield minus 170 favorite. Hestand plus 140. Fight goes to decision is minus 150. And salaries in this one, Armfield's 8,700. Hestand is 7,500. Monk, you can take this one first.
I'm obviously more impressed with Garrett Armfield, especially as of late. Yes, he lost his debut fight, but that was on super short notice, up a weight class against a beastly prospect in David Onama. He did exactly what he's supposed to do against Toshiomi Kazama, and then he beats Brad Katona, which is in retrospect a very good win, aging very well. It was a close fight, but he still gets the win there. Didn't score great in that one, but was still impressive. And the guy's Brady Highstand's beating. I mean, he takes an L to Tercios, not aging well. Then he beats Fernie Garcia and Danan Bakary with a third round KO and a crazy fight there. So I don't know, man. I'm thinking it's just an average GPP fight, probably. I'm leaning Armfield for sure. I just don't like what I've seen out of Brady Highstand if he's not fighting guys like Fernie Garcia, to be completely honest. So it's a guy I'm just going to have to see it from. So until then, I trust Garrett Armfield a bit more. Wouldn't be surprised if this one goes to decision, but a few finishes in these guys, like half of their 6 fights so far in the UFC have been finishes. 2 of those 3 are from Armfield fights, but yeah, I'm just going to play this one probably average, and I'm going to lean Garrett Armfield for sure. I just like what I see out of him a lot more.
So, unfortunately for me, Armfield is 8,700, minus 150 to go to decision. Just not much, just flat out math-wise. There's too many other plays I expect to score better on DK. Brady Heastand's, he's 25 years old. I mean, Armfield's only 27, so I really can't throw the age thing out there. Armfield can be taken down. He's able to get back up against Katona, which is good. But if Hestand can hold him down, I think he's got a favorable matchup here for Brady Hestand. I know he beat Fernie Garcia, and this win over Bakary Dana is I think a better win than people think.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to click into Bakary Dana. It's not going to let me. God damn it! That's what happens when you try and do something on the fly, Monk.
Right, it never works out.
Never works out.
That's why you shouldn't try.
Yeah, Bakary Dana. Oh, he lost to Kung Ho Kang and Chris Gutierrez. Before that, he's got a couple UFC wins on there. Yeah, you know what? I thought he won a couple more fights. I don't remember this Kung Ho Kang fight. Regardless, I don't think it's a terrible win. Oh, he's doing karate combat now.
Yeah.
Okay. Regardless, okay, I might take that back a little bit then. Regardless, I think it's a decent matchup for Heaston in terms of he can get his grappling going and potentially hold down Armfield. I'm leaning there ever so slightly. I like Garrett Armfield. I know he's looked good. I'm looking for underdogs, and I don't have much interest in the favorite here from a DraftKings perspective. So I'm going to side with Heaston just ever so slightly. And if Heaston wins, he's going to put up a good number because he's going to wrestle.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So for that reason, I'm going to give Heaston a look here. But I will say that Carly Judice is my favorite underdog of the card that I was alluding to. And yeah, she's 3-1 with losing her Contender Series fight. That's the card we're on here. Let's talk about it. She's plus 190 from Mississippi. Crispy Carly Judice taking on Gabby Fernandez, who is 8-3 overall, minus 230. Salaries, by the way. Gabriela Fernandez is 9,000. Carly Judice is 7,200. Fight goes to decision, minus 175. That's your Judice cash play right there, even if you don't like her. Just period, end of story. Then you start digging into her stats, which I know you have to normalize these a little bit. Carly Judice in a 3-round fight on the Contender Series lost a split decision to Ernesto Caracate, where she landed 168 strikes, significant strikes in 3 minutes or in 3 rounds. Wild. Gabriela Fernandez, on the other hand, is going to want to stand up, I would think, because Jasmine Judavicius and Teresa Bleda both took her down and laid on her. She got to giving up 7 takedowns. I don't think Carly Judice has got takedowns in her, but she might be willing to try here. I mean, look, it's just, I mean, I remember one of the amateur fights I saw, she had a ground and pound type win. There's this one. That's why I clicked on it. I'm pretty sure I saw a ground and pound win here. I'm trying to see if she had any other submissions. She's got wins in some not good organizations. Let's just call it what it is. That being said, my pick here, this is an indictment of Gabriela Fernandez. I can't pay that price. No interest in her. Pretty much going to fade her as well. And if she puts up 115, well, I lost. Let's move on about my day. Same. I said, there's just a few stands you have to take. And Carly Judice at this price, I think she's the better striker. Fernandez hasn't impressed me. Let's roll the dice at this price. I got nothing else to fucking lose. I need to pay for Almeida and Aliskerov and Maney somehow. I'll be looking at Judice. And I think she's a good cash game punt because if she loses, based on the odds, she could still get me 25, 30. Move on about my day.
Maybe she'll get you 75 because that's what she put up in the Ernesta Carrot Cake fight.
Fuck yeah.
75's 25 points a round in a women's flyweight fight. That is absolutely crazy. Yeah, you mentioned 168 strikes landed. Gabby Fernandez has landed 49 strikes in 30 minutes in the UFC so far. Probably because she's on her back being controlled most of the time for about 75% of the fight on average. All she does is get taken down. So Gabrielle Fernandez at 9K. I mean, she's got to be
just start the fight. Oh, the ceiling.
Yeah, 0.5% owned. I don't even know. That said, I like the Judice take. Judice. I don't know how we say it. Judice. But yeah, I like that. But the only problem I see there is a lot of people are probably going to like that. She's probably going to be extremely high owned.
For cash, it's fine though. For cash,
it's fine. But for 7,200, I mean, she's probably going to be a super high owned GPP play. I'm not saying that means you should play Gabby Fernandez, but just something to consider there. As I said, just tons and tons and tons of volume. So hopefully we see that. And I'm probably going to pick her too when my notes come out tomorrow or Thursday.
All right, let's do more low level, high variance, high salary bullshit here. Yeka Saragi taking on Weston Wilson. I had to update my notes. Man, that's bad of me. I thought Yeka Saragi was from India. I was almost positive, and he's from Indonesia. Same part of the world. And my point still stands, but I need to amend my notes so I don't come across as racist or anything. Taking on Weston Wilson. By the way, no idea what this nickname is. Oh, it's no. See, I thought it was like D'Artagnan some shit for a minute. No idea. No idea what that is. What different places? MMA is great. You got a guy from Indonesia taking on somebody from Simpsonville, South Carolina.
Yeah, right.
What the fuck is life? Yeka Saragi is minus 340. Weston Wilson is plus 270. Fight ends at the distance minus 600, which is why you must play this on DraftKings. Saragi is in that super expensive range at 9,300. Weston Wilson 6,900. Yeka Saragi knocked out Lucas Alexander last time out, as I think he was the least expensive fighter on the card, and now he's super expensive because they gave him Weston Wilson. Look, the UFC is desperately trying to build a star from this part of the world. I said India. There's a lot of fucking people there, guys.
Yeah.
If they can, that's why we
the most.
What was her name last week? I already forgot her name. Pooja Tomar. I forgot her name already. Legitimately forgot her name. Sorry. They're going to try and build these stars and give them favorable matchups. And that's why you got Weston Wilson, who's been knocked out by Joe Anderson Brito and John Silva. Yeka Saragi is not as good as those guys, though. So Weston Wilson is unfortunately live because we all thought Yeka Saragi was a fraud before the last fight against Lucas Alexander. We just did. He won the road to UFC by beating Wanban Ki and Pawan Man Singh. Okay. We all thought he was a fraud. One win, and now we're, okay, he's the next big thing. They gave him a good matchup. I won't be fading Weston Wilson. Like I said, I'm going to flat out fade Tricoli and Jose Johnson. Yeah, Jimmy Flick and Weston Wilson are not on that list. They would be guys I'm going to play in GPP. And yeah, I'm going to mix in some Yeka Saragi, but he'll probably be under all those other guys. just real quick, let's go back into the regional scene. I don't know how this is going to go for me. This could age terribly. I know it's minus 600 and inside the distance. Yeah, 9 of his wins are by KO. All right. But again, can make the argument 6-4, 2-0 opponent, 5-3. The one other guy with experience he fought, he lost to. I don't know, man.
What's his name?
Anga.
Good job.
I guess. I mean, I can roll through Agung Maulana, Rama Sabtori, Hataporan Simabolan.
Hatta, yeah, you don't know these guys?
No.
Come on.
Yeah, like
legends, bro.
They were trying to give him Jesse Butler. That's interesting. And he took Lucas Alexander and okay. Look, so and he lost to Anshu Jubilee. Like, man.
Yeah, that guy lost to a guy that was barking.
So I gotta go back. So long story short, Wilson is more live than I think the odds would indicate, but it's one of those play both sides, but probably be underweight everywhere situations because it's just what the salaries dictate.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, man. Weston Wilson is pretty fucking bad. Pretty bad. He's like 5 inches taller here. Jekka Saregi's not very good, but Weston Wilson, we thought Jekka Saregi is a fraud, or that's what you were saying. We think he's a fraud before his last fight. He still could be. We know Weston Wilson is a fraud. There's no thinking about it. It's a for sure fact.
How dare you besmirch the pride of Simpsonville, South Carolina?
It's a for sure fact. If he gets hit in the face, he crumbles, and that's kind of what happens in a fight for the most part. So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone hate getting hit in the face more as a fighter than Weston Wilson.
Okay,
so.
I want you to write this down. We got to talk about this at some point. Weston Wilson or Malcolm Gordon? Who likes getting hit in the face less? Malcolm Gordon's up there.
He is up there. I still think Weston Wilson, just the
I gotta
face
watch
he
it.
makes is so funny.
I gotta go. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess he's worth a stab in GPPs, but yeah, I'm not too interested in Saregi. Like more interested than the obvious first round upside. So yeah, give me Saregi, Weston Wilson. This is probably his last fight. I don't know. Maybe they're signing him like 5 fight contracts now. I have no idea. We've seen guys go 0-5 in the promotion. So yeah, give me Saregi here.
All right, let's talk Julia Pastry and Josephine Knutson. This fight is rescheduled, I believe. They were supposed to fight, and then what was it? Somebody fought something that did. I think Knutson fought Marnik Mann instead.
Ugh.
I forget. I think they were scheduled once before that. Let's just look because now I feel a little sick. If I click on Pastry, yeah, they were supposed to fight. Oh, just
3 months ago.
Just 3 months ago. Okay, so rescheduled from 3 weeks ago. Julia Pastry's Tapology photo, not bad. Not bad for what that's worth. Obviously, she can beat the shit out of me. Let's see. Knutson's minus 225. Julia Psycho Pastry. I mean, she's advertising it, I guess. That's good.
That's true.
I mean, I respect the honesty.
You can fix her.
No. You have some fun. Hold on. Try not to get stabbed. Except, as Chris Porter would say, she's going to break into your house afterwards and set fire to kittens.
That's true.
You don't own kittens. She brings them with her. Straight up stole the bit. Gave him credit. Chris Porter.
There you
go. Watch
go.
it. We need good stand-up comedy. It's an underrated one. This fight, in terms of fight, ends inside the distance. I should say fight goes to decision is minus 325. Odds on this one, though. Knutson is 9,100. Pastry is 7,100. Pastry is, on paper, the same thing as Carly Judice in terms of a sneaky GPP play. But I think Knutson's actually the sneaky 9K play because she's super expensive. I think she wins, and I think she grapple fucks Pastry. I know, but just because what I was saying about Pastry. Fucking somebody's gonna say, you just wish you could do that to her, and Knutson, I think, is gonna do it. I think she's gonna get takedowns. Needs to not get submitted, obviously. Pastry, from being from Brazil, has got submissions, got plenty of submissions. Mm-hmm. So as long as Knutson can stay safe, I think she wins. I think Pastry has that sub upside for the reasons I just mentioned. Women's MMA, Knutson should want to grapple. It's live there. but I think Knutson's the sneakier play, in my opinion. Monk, what do you have for this glorious women's MMA fight?
Yeah, I actually agree. I thought I was looking at it 91. I think she's going to get overlooked, Josephine Knutson, a lot
Agreed.
this week. And that's why I was really looking at her. And then you dive into the stats. You remember what I talked about earlier in every single week about non-significant strikes. And her fight against Marnik Mann, not only did she land 81 strikes, which is 5.4 a minute, fantastic, especially in the strawweight division. She ended up with 147 total strikes, guys. So even without those, she's still scoring okay with her, 10 minutes of control time, 3 takedowns and whatnot. But you need more takedowns than that if you really want to put up a huge number, unless you're landing 1 takedown per round and absolutely dominating by landing these non-significant strikes. She put up 110 against Marnik Mann. I know it's Marnik Mann, but still, if she can do that to another newcomer here in Julia Pastry, I think things are looking pretty good. And Pastry, we've seen it. She's had 2 Dana White Contender Series fights. Her first one was against Double J, Jasmine Jasudavicius, where she was taken down 4 times, controlled for 55% of the fight. I mean, does this sound familiar? Gave up 100 points to Jasmine in that one. So, yeah, I love Knutson here. I think she's going to be much higher in my cash lineups than hopefully a lot of people, much higher than my opponents, and much higher in my GPP lineups for sure than the field. So we agree there 100%.
All right, guys, let's do it. First fight of the night, last fight of the podcast. Shailin Nurenbakie. I'm just going to call her Yi. I mean, some places he's just Yi Sha, or I'm just calling him Shailin. The rest of this, taking on Melquizil Costa. Costa's the favorite, minus 180. Shailin, who's plus 150. This is his 51st professional fight, by the way. Odds on this one, Mel Costa's clocking in at, gotta find it, where'd he go? 8,500. Shailin at 77. Monk, what do you got for this one?
Well, it's interesting. Both of these guys in their last fights each took L's to Steve Garcia. So both of them got finished by Steve Garcia right around the 6-minute mark, actually, in the second round. Very, very interesting there. Neither guy landed a ton of strikes. Costa landed even fewer than Nurenbakie did against Garcia, but both of them got knocked down. Both of them, even though both of them landed takedowns and got control time, both gentlemen were actually finished by Steve Garcia there. Nurenbakie, I mean, you got to throw the Derek Minner fight away for obvious reasons. Yeah, 98 against
James Krause, he did dick.
Yeah, right. 98 against Sean Soriano, 105 against, guys that are subpar outings in the UFC, so not a great strength of schedule. Meanwhile, Costa's fighting guys like Moises, Steve Garcia, a little bit better at name value. Austin Lingo's definitely not up there, but he did score 91 points in that fight. I honestly like, I don't know, this is a good GPP fight, I think. And I kind of like Shailin Nurenbakie here overall. I just like his style, especially when he goes after guys that are clearly injured with torn out knees and whatnot. So I love to see that. But in all seriousness, yeah, I don't know. I'm just leaning Shailin. Melky really was really unimpressive in his last outing. I did not like what I saw from him. And that's kind of the main reason why I'm leaning Shailin here. I just need Melky to come out here and show me why why I was so kind of positive on him after that Lingo fight. So I'd like to see that again. But as far as DraftKings, I think this is an average GPP fight for the card. Definitely not touching this one in cash probably at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. I kind of actually lean Shailin as well. Both guys can grapple. Mel Costa's got 40% takedown defense in the UFC. Yeah. Both guys are veterans. Shailin's got 50 fights, though. I think he'll be able to do a little more grappling. It's a really close fight, and just honestly, I'll take Shailin for the odds value. It's really that simple here on draft for the decreased salary, I should say, not odds value, for the decreased salary. GPP fight, 50-50 is like minus 120 to go to decision. Not a ton of interest based on the rest of this card, but gun to my head, I would take Shailin Nurenbakie. All right, guys, that's what we got. 13 fights we just broke down, but we're not done yet. We got to talk about Killshot. If you don't know what Killshot is, it's an under-owned play that can help you win a DraftKings tournament. That means main events are not allowed. Got to be kind of sneaky too. I don't want to hear any Uber chalk shit. Monk, I think I jumped in last week and took one, so I'll let you go first this week. You got one teed up for us here?
Well, I probably know who you're gonna pick, so I'm trying to avoid that one.
Yeah, just take it. I get a feeling.
I don't even feel too strongly about it. I will. I'm not gonna take. I'm thinking you picked one of the females. I'm gonna take Joshua Van at 7,300. The other one was the guy we just talked about in Shai Elan. He's right on the cusp of being what I would consider a kill shot at 7,700. But I like Josh Van just because if the third round looks good, I think his cardio and his forward momentum is going to be is going to look good against Tajir Ulan Beckov in that third round. So if we're there, I like my third round chances for Joshua Van. Go to decision. Put a good third round in the judges' books there, and end up with a decent score. So that's what I'm looking for at 7,300. Somebody to pay that off. Hopefully, it even ends inside the distance for us late with Josh Van.
So, you think I'm going to take Judice?
I did, yeah.
She's a better cash game play. I don't know if this is a high scoring card. I don't know if she can get there. I think I like her more as a cash play, uber punt play. She could fall ass backwards in the optimal, even with 70 points if her salary lets her get in a couple of the big boys. So I guess I'm going to give her honorable mention. She's not going to quite make it. The other honorable mention I want to throw out is Miles Johns, because I just don't want to get in the debate. Is he a dog? Is he not? He's right in the middle range. I think he's sneaky and going to go overlooked. So honorable mention there.
Yes.
But I'm going to actually give you Brady hestand, because if Brady wins, it's grappling based. It's a big score at 7,500. I think he's got more upside than Judice. So those are kind of my kill shot thought process there.
Love it.
All right, that's what we got for UFC Vegas 93, Perez versus Tyra. Hit the like button. Join DFS Army. Tons of resources and shit talking and fun in the Discord, but also just good way to make a little bit of cash and enjoy your fantasy sports experience. Monk, you got anything before we get out of here?
Check out we'll see, we're recording Bankroll or Bust on Thursday. I don't know who's going to be on it yet.
I was robbed.
You were robbed. But yeah, check that out. Otherwise, I got Monk and Lou's happy hour Thursday at Friday at midnight. Check that out.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Go and check that out. By the way, when I say I was robbed, I lost my week to be a two-time defending champion on the Carnolosi disqualification.
That's right.
That's why I lost. So fuck that bitch.
Right? No kidding.
That's my thought process there. But definitely go and check out those shows. All a good time. See you DFS Army members in the Discord. Like, comment, subscribe. That's all we got for this week. Good luck on those contests. We'll see you next time.